There are moments time refuses to erase. Meeting Sophie was one of them. The morning sun spilled through the tall windows of Jefferson High, painting streaks of gold across the polished floors. The air buzzed with the sound of laughter, lockers slamming, and the low murmur of teenagers trading summer stories. I was just another new face, clutching a schedule and pretending not to feel lost. And then I saw her. Sophie Parker. She stood by her locker, head tilted slightly as she tucked a strand of blonde hair behind her ear, laughing at something her friend said. There was nothing dramatic about the moment, no music, no spotlight, just her smile, genuine and effortless, the kind that could quiet every noise inside your head. For a second, I forgot how to move. The world narrowed to her and the faint scent of cherry perfume floating through the air. She didn't see me, not then. She was just being herself, radiant, unbothered, and unknowingly perfect. Our first real encounter came later that day in English class. The teacher paired us for a group assignment. When she turned to me with that same smile and said,
"Guess we're partners."
my heart forgot what rhythm meant. That's how it began, quietly, unexpectedly, the kind of beginning that feels small until you realize it's the start of everything that will ever matter. Sophie had this warmth that drew people in without her trying. Sitting beside her during that literature project felt like living inside sunlight, comforting but slightly unbearable, because every second reminded me she wasn't mine. She had a habit of tapping her pen against her notebook whenever she was thinking. 3 soft taps. Pause. 3 again. It was like her own rhythm, steady, certain. Sometimes she'd catch me staring and laugh.
You zone out a lot, Ethan.
Just thinking. Those afternoons stretched into weeks. We'd sit in the library, surrounded by the smell of old books and pencil shavings, arguing about poems and metaphors. She loved the ones about freedom. I loved the ones about longing. Neither of us said what we were really longing for. Rumors started floating around school. Ethan and Sophie are totally a thing. We'd laugh it off, but each time someone said it, I wished it were true. Sometimes her hand brushed mine when we reached for the same page, and she'd smile without pulling away too quickly. That tiny, wordless moment always felt louder than anything else in the room. She'd tell me about her dreams, leaving our small town, studying journalism, seeing the world. I'd listen, memorizing the way her eyes lit up every time she talked about the future. I wanted to be part of that future, but I didn't know how to say it without losing what we already had. So I stayed silent, just her friend, her partner in class. Even though, somewhere deep down, I already knew I was falling for her. Prom night was supposed to be magic, the kind of night teenage movies promise. I'd imagined it 100 times, walking into the gym, lights dim, music pulsing, and Sophie in some sparkling dress that would steal the air from my lungs. But when I actually saw her, it hurt. She arrived with Ryan Matthews, varsity football, easy smile, the guy everyone liked. She looked beautiful, of course, but not the kind of beautiful that fits in yearbook captions. The kind that makes your chest ache because you know she's everything you'll never have. I tried to play it cool, laughing with friends, pretending I didn't care. But every time I caught a glimpse of her dancing, her hand in his, something inside me twisted tighter. Halfway through the night, I stepped outside. The cool air hit my face, heavy with the scent of rain. I leaned against the railing, trying to breathe past the ache. And then, her voice.
Ethan?
She was standing there, heels in her hand, barefoot on the cold concrete.
Needed some air.
She said softly. We talked, small things, silly things, but beneath every word was what neither of us said. The music drifted through the doors, muffled and distant. Then she smiled, almost shyly.
Dance with me?
No crowd, no cameras. Just us under the flickering streetlight. Her hand slid into mine, warm and trembling. I didn't know if it was from the chill or something deeper. When the song ended, she whispered,
Thanks, Ethan, for always being you.
And before I could reply, she was gone, back inside, back to him. That night, I learned how quiet heartbreak could be. Graduation day felt like the end of something I wasn't ready to let go of. The courtyard shimmered with sunlight, caps in hand, parents cheering, camera flashes everywhere. Everyone was laughing, hugging, promising to stay in touch. Promises we all knew would fade once summer ended. Sophie looked radiant in her blue gown, her hair tucked beneath her cap, strands falling freely around her face. When she spotted me in the crowd, she waved, that familiar spark lighting up her eyes. I waved back, pretending I wasn't memorizing her every detail like it might be the last time I'd see her. After the ceremony, we found each other near the gym. She threw her arms around me before I could say a word.
We did it!
She laughed, her voice trembling with excitement. For a moment, I let myself believe she could hear everything my heart was screaming. Then she said it.
I got into Northwestern, Chicago.
The words hit like cold rain. I managed a smile. That's amazing, Soph.
You're right?
Of course. I lied. We took a photo together, her leaning into me, my hand awkwardly behind her back, both of us smiling too wide. That picture still lives in a frame I can't throw away. When the buses started loading, she hugged me again, longer this time, tighter.
You're going to do great things, Ethan.
I wanted to say, you're the only great thing I've ever known. But the words stayed buried, swallowed by the sound of laughter and engines starting. As the crowd cheered and caps filled the sky, I stood still, watching her disappear into the blur of faces and sunlight, taking a piece of me with her. Life after high school came at me fast. College, new faces, new cities, everything felt bigger, louder, faster. I told myself I was moving on, that the world didn't revolve around a girl I hadn't spoken to in years. But every now and then, I'd hear her name in a song, or smell cherry perfume in a crowded hallway, and something in me would pause. Sophie and I texted a few times that first year. Harmless stuff. How's college? Do you miss Jefferson? Then, like a slow fade out, the messages stopped. I told myself it was normal. People drift apart, but part of me always checked my phone anyway. I tried dating, nice girls, smart girls. But it was never the same. No one made me feel like I was standing in sunlight the way she did. Every smile felt like an imitation of hers. Every laugh, an echo. Sometimes late at night, I'd scroll through her social media, photos of her on city streets, coffee in hand, her smile still the same. There was one post that nearly broke me. Her with a guy, his arm around her, both of them glowing under string lights. The caption read, "To new beginnings." I closed the app and stared at the ceiling, realizing I wasn't part of that beginning. Years went by, I graduated, got a decent job, moved into a small apartment in Boston. On the outside, I looked fine. But sometimes, when the world got quiet, I'd catch myself whispering her name, like a prayer I didn't believe would ever be answered. I told myself she was just a memory. But deep down, I knew, she was the unfinished part of my story. It happened on a Thursday, one of those gray, ordinary mornings when nothing feels special. I'd stopped by a quiet coffee shop near my office, the kind with warm light, the smell of espresso, and soft jazz humming in the background. I was halfway through answering work emails when I heard someone laugh. That soft, melodic laugh I hadn't heard in almost 8 years. My chest tightened. It couldn't be. I turned, and there she was. Sophie. Older, yes, but still her. Her hair was shorter now, brushed behind her ears, and she wore a cream sweater that made her eyes look bluer than I remembered. She was holding a cup with both hands, talking to the barista, and for a moment, it felt like time folded in on itself, the world shrinking until it was just her and me again. I almost didn't say her name. My voice barely worked. Sophie? She froze, then turned, eyes wide, disbelief melting into a smile that made my heart forget its years of pretending.
Ethan? No way.
The next few minutes were a blur, laughter, surprise, awkward small talk that quickly turned warm. We sat down, two old classmates trying to fill a silence that time had stretched too long. She told me about her job in marketing, her travels, her engagement that ended months ago. There was a trace of sadness when she said it, but she laughed it off.
Life's funny, huh?
I wanted to tell her I never stopped thinking about her. Instead, I just nodded, smiling like I wasn't trembling inside. When she stood to leave, she hesitated, then said,
Let's catch up properly sometime.
and as she walked away, the air felt heavier, like the universe had just handed me a second chance and was waiting to see if I'd be brave enough to take it. It started with a simple text.
Hey stranger, you free this weekend?
I must have read it a dozen times before replying. That weekend turned into coffee, which turned into lunch, which somehow became endless conversations that stretched deep into the night. We talked about everything: college memories, failed relationships, the stupid things we once dreamed about. It felt so easy, like no time had passed at all. She still laughed the same way, still tilted her head when she was curious, still had that little wrinkle near her nose when she smiled too hard. Sometimes our talks got quiet, the kind of quiet that says more than words ever could. One night, over the phone, she said softly,
You know, I used to think you never liked me back in high school.
My heart stuttered. Why would you think that? She sighed, a mix of laughter and regret.
You were so quiet. So unreadable. I figured you just saw me as a friend.
For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us was heavy with all the things we didn't say years ago. I wanted to tell her everything, about the dances I didn't ask her to, the messages I typed but never sent, the way I used to look for her in every crowd. But fear still had its grip on me, so I only said, You were always more than just a friend, Sophie. She didn't respond right away. Then, quietly,
I wish I'd known that back then.
That night, I couldn't sleep. Her voice replayed in my head, soft and lingering. It felt like the universe had reopened an old chapter, and this time, maybe, it wanted me to finish it. A few weeks later, Sophie stopped by my apartment. She said she'd found something while cleaning out old boxes from her parents' attic, our high school yearbook. We sat on my couch, flipping through pages filled with signatures, doodles, and faces frozen in time. Every now and then, she'd laugh and point out someone we barely remembered.
You had the worst haircut.
She teased, and I couldn't even deny it. Then she handed me the book.
You should keep this. You were always more sentimental than me.
After she left, I placed it on my desk and went about my night, until something slipped out from between the pages and fell to the floor. It was an envelope, faded, sealed, my name written in her handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a letter dated a week before graduation.
Ethan, I don't know if I'll ever give you this, but I need to say it somewhere. You've been my best friend, but it's hard pretending that's all I want to be. I like you, more than I should, maybe. I wish I had the courage to tell you in person, but I'm scared it would ruin what we have. So I'll just write it here and let the words live quietly where they can't hurt us. Sophie.
I sat there, reading it again and again, my chest tightening with every word. All the years I'd spent wondering if she'd ever felt the same, and she had. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I felt both. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about all the moments we'd lost, all because neither of us spoke when it mattered most. I knew then that silence had cost us years, and I wasn't about to let it steal one more. I couldn't sleep after reading that letter. Every word replayed like a heartbeat I'd ignored for years. By morning, I knew what I had to do. No more waiting. No more, maybe someday. I called her. Meet me tonight, I said. The park, the one behind Jefferson High. The park hadn't changed much. Same rusted swings, same old oak tree near the path where we used to walk after class. The air was cool, carrying the faint scent of rain and nostalgia. Sophie arrived wearing a light jacket, her hair loose and a little messy from the wind. She smiled, nervous but warm.
This feels like deja vu,
she whispered. I took a deep breath. It's more than that. I handed her the letter. You wrote this, didn't you? Her eyes widened as she unfolded it, recognition flooding her face.
Oh my God, I can't believe you found this.
Sophie, I said quietly, I wish you had given it to me back then. She looked up, her voice trembling.
I was scared. You never showed how you felt, and I didn't want to lose you.
The silence that followed was fragile, years of unsaid words balancing on a single heartbeat. I never stopped liking you, I confessed. Even when you were with someone else. Even when I tried to forget. I couldn't. Her eyes filled with tears. She laughed softly through them, shaking her head.
You idiot! Do you know how long I've wanted to hear that?
Then she stepped closer, placing her hand on my chest.
I never stopped either.
It wasn't a cinematic kiss. It was slow, hesitant, real, like two people relearning something they'd always known. When we finally pulled apart, she smiled, whispering,
Took us long enough.
And for the first time in years, my heart felt whole. The following week after Sophie and I met at the park, she called me, her voice soft but excited.
Ethan, guess what? Jefferson High is having its 10-year reunion next Friday.
At first, I didn't want to go. The idea of walking into that old gym, seeing faces from a life I'd outgrown, it just felt unnecessary. But Sophie, she insisted.
Please, let's go, this time together.
And that was all it took. When the night came, I stood outside the gym with her hand in mine, both of us staring at the glowing lights spilling through the glass doors. Inside, laughter and old songs echoed off the walls, the same walls that once held our silence. Walking in felt surreal. Everyone looked older, softer. The air smelled faintly of perfume, soda, and nostalgia. People turned, gasped, smiled. No way, Ethan and Sophie, someone said. We laughed it off, but inside, my heart was thudding. Because this was where it all began, where I fell for her and never said a word. As the music slowed, Sophie tugged my hand.
Come on, dance with me.
Under the dim lights, we swayed slowly. Her head rested on my shoulder, and for the first time, everything felt full circle. I could almost see our younger selves across the room, a shy boy stealing glances at the girl he thought was out of reach. Sophie lifted her head slightly, her eyes glistening.
Do you think things would have been easier if we'd figured this out back then?
I smiled faintly. Maybe, but we wouldn't have understood it like we do now. She nodded, brushing her thumb against my cheek.
Then maybe it was always meant to happen this way.
The song ended, but we didn't stop moving. We just held each other, breathing, remembering, forgiving the years that kept us apart. When we finally stepped outside, the night air felt cool and calm. Sophie leaned against my chest, whispering,
We finally did it, Ethan.
And as I kissed her under the same stars that watched us grow up, I realized, some love stories don't need a perfect beginning. They just need a real ending. And ours, finally, had one.